Good morning. Welcome to Alexandra and Friends. Thank you so much for being on another Saturday here with us at our studio at the Purple Cow Branding Meeting Place in Farmers Branch with Mr. Rob Bliss, who is our sponsor. Thank you so much for taking your time to visit with us. We have an exciting day. I'm sitting in for Marshall today. She is opening her new studio, and we're all going to go after our event to go and visit with her. So she sends her regards, and hopefully that you will see her and she'll be telling you all about what she's doing. Good morning. How are you, Miss
Elena? Yes. Good morning. Good morning.
I have to
Shabbat
pronounce
shalom.
Shabbat shalom. I have to pronounce Elena correctly.
Elena.
How are you? Good morning.
Name of
We have
God.
an exciting show this morning. We are at the Purple Cow Branding Meeting Room Studio, and that is in Farmers Branch. And we love to invite you to come to our studio. We are in the heart of Farmers Branch, and we love to have you. Go to alexandrafriends.com, and the address and the location is on part there for you. And we're going to start our morning because we're very busy. So we're going to take just a second for the Pledge of Allegiance for this young kiddos, the Clark family, to tell us all about it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, wasn't that wonderful? These are four little children, and they're just amazing. I started at 6:60 the answer, and I had to have the Pledge of Allegiance. So I thought that was very special. And nowadays you don't hear it very often. So I thought, well, we have two very exciting guests here today, and I'm going to turn it over to Elena because she's going to have the honor of introducing them and talking a little bit about them, and then we'll come back because we have people in the studio that they've got questions here. So we're going to have an exciting day. Elena?
Yes. We're so excited to have two fabulous guests here. And thank you for being here because I know that they've been super busy the last couple of weeks and probably a couple of months in their campaign. So first we have John Jung. And did I say it right? John Jung? Yes.
John.
Yes. And he is running for state representative, the Texas House State of Representatives and District 115. And then we also have Dr. Tina Bennet Burton. Yes. She is a candidate for Farmers Branch City Council. And so we're just excited to hear about their backgrounds and when someone puts their name in the hat to run for office, it's really a calling because it takes a lot for families and everyone around them and volunteers. And so thank you so much for stepping up to serve.
Wow, what an exciting morning. I'm going to just ask Dr. Tina Bennet Burton, you are what kind of doctor are you?
I'm a doctor of chiropractic.
Chiropractic. Oh my gosh. So this is amazing. And how long did you graduate? When was that?
I graduated in 2006.
2006. And I see that you were also already, you have previously been in the city council. You're a former city councilman. And now you are running.
They had redistricted. I did not move. The district lines moved.
Oh.
They always leave us behind. They just kind of tell us, next morning we get up, it's not 10:09 Peters Colony, it's 15:09 Peters Colony. Oh, yes. Well, welcome. So you cover our area here, is that correct? Or
I cover an area just west of here. So it's between Josie and Webb Chapel, north of Eric Lane, closer to the Webb Chapel side up to Fike, and then on the Josie side it's Farmers Branch Lane, Tom Field up to Birch Lawns, turning into Dennis up to Fike.
So
it's a little weird.
Weird. Wow. Well, politics are weird.
No, you have to look at the map and
You
kind of
really
line
do.
them up, which district, and
Well,
Wow.
and what about you, sir? You're running in now. You were former city councilman
Yes.
in Coppell
Yes.
and mayor pro tem,
Correct.
and you had to step down, or
That is correct. By state law, I did have to step down. So this May, I actually stepped down officially, and they had the special election. So I'm running for House District 115.
115. Well, before we go into all these questions and answers, we want to know about you a little bit. So since you got the microphone right now and Elena's got it right behind you, tell us a little bit about who you are. You're married. You have money. Just kidding. Tell us a little bit about you, who you are. I know you're an attorney.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit so that the audience, because you do have people watching you and you want to say hello to them this morning. And we want to know about you because
Sure.
it's about both of you today. Okay.
Well, yeah, sure. Well, thank you so much for having me here today. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and also the audience that's watching here as well. So I always start by saying that I'm a Christian, veteran, and a servant. I say that because I truly believe that I'm blessed to be where I am today. And, you know, he guided me to be, I never thought I'd be in this position, but he guided me to be where I am today. I'm also a veteran. I serve in the U.S. Navy on the carrier USS John F. Kennedy.
Thank you for your service, sir.
My honor, from 1986 to 1990. And I also say that I'm a servant because really, God has blessed me to be where I am. And I have a wonderful wife who's been supporting every process of my life. And also 4 wonderful kids who has given us minimal headaches and heartaches. And that's why I have time to be able to serve. And for the past 24 years, I've been serving in the District 115. And as you mentioned, for the last 4 years as a city council member for City of Coppell for 4 years. And, you know, it's really, I started out just trying to make a difference in the community, just to make a difference, however big or small. And here I am trying to make another difference down in Austin for the people that I in the district, which is Irving, Coppell, Carrollton, Farmers Branch, Addison, and a little bit of Dallas and a little bit of Louisville as well. So 7 cities.
Wow.
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 So that's a short story.
Yes.
Wow. It's a long story.
Yes.
So now let's go to you, Miss Tina, the Honorable Tina Bennet Burnett.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I never thought I'd be in politics. I can honestly say I didn't think city council were politics. I thought it was resident driven and resident representative.
Mhm.
You probably thought it was a charitable organization,
I
right?
thought I was volunteering. My Christianity comes first. My faith comes first. And when I decided to run my first time, I actually went to my small group leaders. And at that time, Brother Eddie, yes.
Are you a Rotarian?
I am. My husband is, I should say. So, because I really don't have much time to do everything with the Civic League and the Women's Club. But with that being said, his words to me were, for such a time as this, for such a time as
He
this.
was the man.
Yes. And so I did. I learned a lot very quickly about the difference of just being a servant leader and leaning in and volunteering versus what this really looks like as a politician, and not really viewing yourself as a politician, just being a resident representative and wanting to do what's right for the residents. And I'm a corporate resident as well because I own a small business in the same district.
Oh,
And what does that look like? And how can we be friendlier and come together as a community?
what kind of business do you own?
I own a clinic, a chiropractic clinic.
Oh, very good. Is it located in Farmers Branch?
It is in District 2.
District 2. And you were in District 3 when you ran in District 3 before?
It was in District 3.
Oh, so that you were,
Yes.
okay, you were placed them somewhere else. Wow. Do you have, you served already and now you're running again. Is there a difference from when you served to what you're going to be doing next? What are you bringing different?
I just feel like I'm not finished. I am not done. It is not done. We came a long way. I accomplished quite a bit in a year and a half. That was a special election as well. And there are just things that need to be seen through. Farmers Branch has a long history, and some of the definitions that we have for ordinances, they're just antiquated, and we just need to bring them forward with us.
You know, since you're saying that, I was with the I'm a realtor, and I was on the government affairs for many years with in our board of realtors, and I fought Farmers Branch, myself and some of my crew, about the money you have to go and pay for. You have to register your tenants with the city.
The certificate
of occupancy.
So that was
people do not understand that it's an expense.
Yes.
And I thought that was something, as a realtor, I thought that was a very poor thing to do with the city.
We were the last municipality to get rid of the owner occupied CO And that was
Now-
my last request to put that on a future agenda item as I exited. And within a month, that was completed. That is gone. That
I'm
has been
glad.
dissipated.
I'm glad because I think that is number one,
Yeah.
it's a waste of money. And number two, the government shouldn't have any business to do with it.
Correct.
It's my property and I run it the way I want to. And I'm going to lease it to whom I want to.
Yes.
Now you just heard the rest of my story because I have a home in Farmers Branch too. Now you know how I feel. So, so how about John? I just want to ask you. You're coming from city council and you're going all the way to state rep. What do you foresee? You're an attorney. What are you going to go do? You're not going to go. You're not going to get on a bus and go to Washington D.C. and enjoy yourself like everybody else did last time. They ran away from what was it, Elena?
It was 3 years ago. I think they did not like the voter ID law, and so they went and protest.
Yeah, they took
Washington,
flights
DC.
and buses all the way
It's a
to
private jet. Yep.
Yeah. So you're not going to do that, are you?
No, I would have to get permission from my wife first.
Okay.
I don't think she'll approve.
So tell me, what made you decide to go? I mean, you're going from city council all the way to state rep. So what do you foresee? What do you want to make? What's the difference? Why should anybody look at you to hire you to go and represent us? Why?
Well, the number one thing is I think that we understand that Texas, we're 8th largest economy in the world, right?
Mhm.
And we have about 400,000 people actually that move from surrounding states and also from abroad, legally coming here. And they want an opportunity of the American dream. And millions came here and millions still are trying to come here for that American dream. So with that being said, if you want to go ahead and continue with that, the economic prosperity here in Texas, you have to make sure that it's safe, not only for us, but also our children. So when I say that, we're talking about even border security too.
Mhm.
It's funny because a lot of people say, just because we secure our border, we're not immigrant friendly. That's absolutely false. Millions came here and millions want to come to the United States because of that opportunity for economic prosperity here, of American dream here. So, I mean, just look at every country in the world. They have immigration policy. They secure their border. We're no different.
Mhm.
But we actually accept a lot more immigrants here because they want to come here to be successful. So with that being said, we know that for a fact, our local community is being affected by things that are coming across the border, such as fentanyl, drugs. And we know for a fact, I know for a fact in Coppell, we're also being affected by fentanyl, as well as human traffickers. We don't hear about it often, but I know some children that are being sucked into it and they are not able to get out of it because of human traffickers. So in order to do that, I mean, in order to make it safe, we want to make sure we secure the border. Because if you think about it, right now we're drawing so many people to this state. And in order to continue with the economic prosperity, we want to make sure it's safe. And we have what now? Samsung down in Taylor, they bought the whole huge land.
Yes.
They're investing in it. And we now have a security exchange. We're going to be having stock exchange here. I know for a fact that Korean Americans are wanting to come here and invest. So we want to make sure that they actually invest, and also the local residents are able to, benefit with the employment opportunity as well. So that's the number one priority, to make sure that we keep Texans safe, especially our children safe.
Yes. Yes, I hear you, John. And I think from what I know, because I'm not Korean, I'm Chinese, I'm a legal immigrant as well. And there are a lot of minority immigrants. They are independent voters.
Sure.
They're swing voters. They will go either way, and they're not party loyal, as we speak. And so I want to hear what you would say. What makes you stand out from your opponent? And without mentioning party affiliation, it's on issues that are concerned residents and citizens. On you mentioned about border and business, and what do you think that makes you stand out from different?
Well, for some reason, Asian American, they don't understand their upbringing and cultural value. It actually aligns with the conservative value. If you think about that, again, I talked about how they want to come here and with an opportunity just to work hard and to be able to succeed. What that also means is that they want to make sure that the government is small. They want to keep most of their money to be able to spend what they wanted to spend. If they want to go ahead and give it away to charity, that's fine. But also, it's you actually doing that, not the government. The
Right.
more the government takes away, helping people is okay. But at the same time, we want to make sure that the able-bodied workers are actually working out there, and to make, they need to work for their living as well. The thing about giving away money, if you give away money, the next time they're going to want more, and it's endless, and you are incentivizing people to be working hard. And this is not what the America is founded on. So we need to make sure that we send that message. Every day I talk to people, the Asian Americans, I tell them why I'm, having this conservative value. The number one thing is that we want to work hard, and we want to make sure that we provide for our children in the future in the same way that we had the opportunity when we first came here as well.
Very good. Thank you, John. And Dr. Bennet Burton, same question, and I know it's nonpartisan race. How do you think, and what makes you different from your opponents?
What makes me different? I'm actually new to the community, relatively speaking. We moved in 2014. And so although I've learned through all of this a substantial part of the history of Farmers Branch, I didn't live it, and I wasn't a participant in it. And I will say I would have disagreed with how it was handled, in truth. I'm small government. I'm very small government. And so I just don't think we belong in making certain decisions for residents and for the individuals. And that includes who we rent to, honestly.
Thank you.
No problem. I mean, she's right. My home, my decision, my investment, that's my investment.
Right.
And so, and I think that that's where I differ as a corporate resident as well. I don't get to pick and choose as a doctor who I treat. I have to be fair. I have to be equitable. I must be objective. And I cannot make stuff up. I can't make a diagnosis up. I have to be, this is what it is. You're my people. You're not my people. It's that simple. Not my people, go to this people over here. This is your person. This is your doctor. This is where you belong. And I don't see where that's any different in the community or in politics.
That's right.
You just do the right thing. Be transparent, be honest. We're not always going to agree on things, but you can still show grace in disagreement.
Yes. Very good. Well, as elected officials, you're going to serve all people,
Correct.
whether they have voted for you
or
not. And sometimes people have that mistaken, and they go, well, there's nothing you can do for me. Well, wrong. I mean, the reality is it should not be.
Correct.
So very good. Thank you.
You're listening to Alexandra and Friends at the Purple Cow Branding Meeting Place at 13612 Midway on Suite 600 in Farmers Branch. We'd love to have you come and join us. We have some of our listeners that are here today, and I'm sure we'll be asking some questions in just a little bit. I want to go back to Miss Tina or Dr. Tina. You've only been here a few years. What do you see Farmers Branch? Where do you see? I think Farmers Branch has gone. It's doing fabulous, but we're in the border of a highway. We're in the border of 635. What do you see the city moving to? I'm going to say on the homeless situation and all this. What do you see is happening with all these situations? Because we're Dallas County, we have a lot of the situation of we're starting to have a lot of homeless walking around in the city. We're having a little bit of burglaries and breakthroughs. I see on next door neighbor, all these people walking. So what is it? What are we going to do about all this?
So with the homeless specifically, we have put ordinances in place where, for instance, in the parks, there's no fires, no camping, no sleeping out, things that actually give the police, the first responders, the ability to do something if they're there at night, camping out. And so they can actually pick them up. There are now places, I believe it's DeSoto, if I'm not mistaken, that they set up about 1.5 years, 2 years ago that they can take them to. And it's not a 1 or 2 or 3 times thing. Many times there are homeless facilities that have limited times that the person can be brought in. And this specific location is limitless. You just take them and you drop them. You take them and you drop them. But most people also don't understand from the first responder perspective that if they are not breaking the law, if there's not a
There's-
sign
Mhm.
posted and they are not breaking the law, there is nothing that can be done. And if the person does not want to go, we cannot
Cannot.
force them. We cannot force them. And I think that that's an educational moment for residents, corporate and individual, that they must understand the person must be willing.
That is, that is very interesting to hear this, because when my biggest worry is the homeless that are sitting under the bridge. That has become a very big issue. And I see last week I saw a lady with 2 children under the bridge,
Wow.
and they've got so much stuff. They're starting even to put little tents and all this. You go in the morning, and then in the evening, it looks like somebody comes and picks everything up and takes everything. And it happens on a daily basis.
And they come back.
And they come back. And I'm just trying to figure out where is all this stuff goes to, because I saw like even a bed and everything else. I'm going, where does this go at night? In the morning, it's all day long. So do we have transport? Where do these people take all this to?
There
you know?
are. So that's Dallas County.
That's right. Well, you're in Dallas County.
It is
so,
Dallas County,
yes.
and the city of Dallas.
And the city of Dallas,
and, they don't have any postings. So there's private companies that they hire to come in and pick them up and clean everything out. But yes, mysteriously, somehow it's all back.
Yeah.
And it's,
And can I ask you, whose money do they use to do all this?
taxpayer.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear.
That's right. Yeah. Wow. I mean, there's a lot of issues within, because Farmers Branch is right next to bordering Dallas, and so is District 115,
Yeah.
and those cities, Addison, Irving, Coppell, which your former city councilman. And so, John, I want to ask this, because we are right next to the suburbs, and so politics tend to be a little bit different in District 115. And we want to bring that balance back, right? Because we see that in politics, there's 2 extremes, seems to be. People can't sit down and have a conversation from those 2 polarized sides. And where do you see yourself speaking to voters, on a bipartisan basis on issues where whether them be minorities or not, that what issue do you think you bring up? And you talked about fentanyl, border security, and how about on the issue of education? And I know that's also a very polarized issue, but there's got to be a common sense approach to that, because we know something has to be done on public education.
Sure. So, Dallas Morning News also asked me the same question, and I just told them the same thing. And number one is this: I've worked with nonprofit organizations for the past 24 years, and being part of a nonprofit organization, you're nonpartisan. So I work with both sides. In fact, I was also on late Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson's Asian American Advisory Committee. I was a member of that, and I was also on the late Congressman Ron Wright. He's also Asian American Advisory Committee as well. So I work with both sides, because at the end of the day, you're trying to be efficient for the community, and sometimes it does take working with both sides. That question has been asked me as well, whether I would be signing a pledge or anything like that kind of isolate Democratic Party or leadership and so on. But if you think about that, when Governor Ann Richard, when she was the governor, even before that, Republicans were a minority at that time. They were also given the leadership position as well. So sometimes being efficient and effective also means working with both sides in the interest of the community. So I'm all for doing that as well. But of course, you don't want one party to be in there just only putting their agenda, their issues only. You have to be open-minded as well. That's I think being sensible, open-minded is what people want. Same thing when I was on the city council. I was always being open-minded, and being on the city council, sure, anyone could actually vote in there, but it's actually going out there, listening to people, hearing what their issues and concerns are that they want you to advocate for. Mind you, that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to change everything. city council, we have 7 council members that vote on it. Getting 3 to vote or come to your understanding and vote and change their mind is not easy. If I'm down in Austin, 150 representatives, right, and getting 75 others is a daunting task. But you do that a little at a time, and at the same time, you always want to be mindful about being fiscally responsible, because our tax dollar, your tax dollar, it matters. Because if you're not, at some point, your tax is going to go up, my tax is going to go up. So that's the number one thing I think that we have to be down there, be fiscally responsible, because it's not just the money that, it's not free money. It's people's money. You have to make sure that you have to be responsible on that.
Thank you. I mean,
Wow.
we forget, sometimes people forget, right? That is tax dollars, taxpayers' money.
Well, I think I told you earlier that I was out in Traders Village Flea Market selling items to make ends meet. Out there, you're talking about selling dollar items. Sometimes you're making 25 cents, 50 cents. So every penny counts. So I understand. I've been there, so I understand that. So I want to make sure that, my money is also being counted for, but also taxpayers' monies are always counted for, and we're just not spending, because you don't want too much overhead, because you're going to have to raise taxes at some point.
And that's a big issue. It's a big issue for me. I don't want to be paying for something that is not mine. It's my money, and I don't want, if everybody does not contribute, then I don't want to contribute. I want everybody to be 100% with me. So I'm going to, Miss Tina, Dr. Tina, I'm going to go back with you to Farmers Branch. I know in May of 2024, the city charter was revised or updated. Tell us a little bit what happened. I keep up with Farmers Branch a lot, and that was something that I've been having in my mind. What happened? Did we change some of the items? What was the reason that it was updated and brought up to date?
So we've set that every 5 years, we have to update our charter. And that's just to, adapt, to be adaptable to what the current needs are. So this specific charter, we actually cleaned up wording that you will understand this as an attorney.
Wording.
The wording, the legalities, the legalese, shall we say. But then we also put in there to pay council and the mayor a stipend. I disagreed with that. I've been very vocal about that.
Yes.
This was a volunteer position for me. I don't think honestly, if I needed something, I could call the city secretary and she would just handle it. Or I'd send an email and say, I wanted to go to, whatever I wanted to go to, some, seminar, type of thing to learn more about what I need to be doing. And she would just pay for it. They would just handle it. I didn't, if we were taking a trip, they got us, to do a tour, they got us a bus, we got on the bus and we went. There was no mileage to write off. There was nothing the only thing out of pocket was my time, quite frankly.
So would you mind telling me what happened with the race?
So
because that was an interest for me.
It passed unanimously. It did pass unanimously. And so I asked my charter committee, the people that represented me, and I had watched the charter meetings, but even though you're watching them, you don't hear what's going on in the conversations behind the scenes, right? And so I wanted to understand, was there a conversation that I misunderstood, didn't see, didn't happen, of how this would be implemented? And all they had been told was that it would be a stipend. So a few weeks after it passed, that was when I rolled off of council as well. I received phone calls from current council stating that they were being made part-time employees.
Well, because you're getting paid. So then
because you're getting paid.
Uh-huh.
And so that was my question to the people, did you in any way, shape, or form understand that they were going to be made part-time employees? No. Had we known that, we would not have pushed this through. We would not have allowed it to go through. And so here we are. And I mean, you obviously as a council member have the opportunity to say, no, I'm not going to accept it. But,
But you still,
without a FOIA, you're never going to know who did or did not.
interesting. Very interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, this election is very different. I feel like, we say that all the time. This is the most important election in our lifetime. And I I have heard there are quite a few first-time voters.
Well, yeah.
And so, John, I would love for you to share some of your experiences and how people come to you about voting for the very first time in their life.
Well, so I've been actually out at the poll every single day from the opening, except for when they opened last 3 days at 9 o'clock. I packed up a little
Wow.
earlier, but
Yeah.
but I've been out there every day. It's one of the greatest feelings to be able to see the voters come out and actually call you by the name and say, I'm supporting you and I'm voting for you, and as well as bringing their kids out to say, I brought in to vote, for the first time.
Mm.
So I've seen a number of the kids, students that are coming out, and in fact, another guy, he just got citizenship because so that he could vote too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That
so-
is so exciting.
Yeah. So
Woo.
it just to have that honor, having their first vote to be casted for me, it's just an honor feeling that I can't even thank them enough. But every single day, number one thing that I hear from them is that they're coming out, but also they're praying for me. Not just there, but there are moments when you feel like you're asking yourself, is this something that I should be doing? And I really had that moment. It's funny because the day before, a couple, and the husband was a veteran, and the night before, my wife and I were talking. I said, I don't know if this is what God wants me to do. I don't know why I'm doing this. And we just had that conversation. That lady and gentleman, they came back the next day, and they said, I don't know why, but God has told me to come out here to tell you and pray
Wow.
for you. And they wanted me to tell you, he wants me to tell you that everything is good. You're doing the right thing. So it brought me to tears because I was just questioning myself. And then for some reason that day, I've had prayers after prayers, people coming out and saying the same prayer. And I just thought,
Wow.
this is just so strange, because I was just talking about this, and he sends angels to pray for me. And so it's those touching moments that you realize that, you might not be thinking that you might be doing the right thing, but somehow he's guiding you. And looking back, he has actually guided me through every difficult moments that we've had. Raising 4 kids I'm broke because of that, right? We were at one point, we're wondering how we're gonna, keep them up, and then how we're gonna send them to college. But we looked back and said, somehow he has provided at
He
every
always
stage.
provides.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the kind of blessing that you have, and that's the reason why I'm able to give back, and that's really the whole reason. We talked about being a politician. I never thought I was a politician. I just thought I was just a servant serving the community, trying to make a difference.
Yes.
So hopefully I'll keep that mentality and be able to continue to serve the community.
It's so exciting because those first-time voters, they will continue to vote. You get them started,
Yes.
energize them.
Yes.
Well, I think one of the most important things is that they know that they can depend, that they can call your office and they're going to talk to you. And that is the most important. When you're running, when you're a candidate and then you become the politician that belongs to that office. But the worst thing I see when I hear, well, I called Rin Tin Tin and he never called me back. This is where the candidates go downhill, when you don't listen to the person that put you in office.
That's true.
And that has got to be, knowledge is power. And when you have that power to be able, they come and see you at the polls, and then they're going to find you and they're going to ask you. Because I tell you, I've knocked a lot of doors. Even Eddie Bernice, we have fights over the VA hospital,
Sure.
because I'm a veteran family. But I want to just go back. Now, you are an attorney, right, John?
Yes, I am.
Are you a specialty?
I do mostly civil, and I do personal injury. I do contract, but being a solo attorney, you get asked for this and that. And I also do some immigration, some
Very good.
family law. In fact, I told my wife this not too long ago, but she found out later on. But I just helped a North Korean defector. He met another North Korean woman, a defector. So I helped them, obviously pro bono. But helped
Wow.
her
Thank
get
you.
the
Thank
green
you.
card.
I've been reading about, he's got to be underground for a long, long time.
Well, the thing is, for people like them, they've gone through so much, and it's just a little thing that I could do just to give them some, peace of mind. But I was glad to help them, and they're very happy now. So,
John,
and
thank
they
you so much for that, because this brings me to Israel. We're in serious situation, and people don't understand. It is getting worse by the day. And we're in a very precarious, when you're saying you're helping somebody come from a communist country for freedom, and we have a freedom country that they want to destroy. I just become passionate about this, because what North and South Korea are. and I know what Israel and Iran are. And my gosh, people have got to understand we are in a different world, and we better start listening and start voting, not only with our pocket, but with our mind, because that's so important. Thank you for
just
for
to add to
defending
that,
this.
I know people say just because we have immigration policy and we're scaring our voter that we're not immigrant friendly. That's absolutely false. We're the friendliest country in the world. Every country secures its voter. Every country has immigration policy. They all have to go through the process.
But John,
That's
let me
right.
tell you something. You don't have to go out of the country to secure the border. If you go to Washington, D.C., and you go to the White House, it is secured.
Sure.
Mhm.
That is
Okay.
absolutely
I always
right.
look at that. When I go to the president of Mexico, their whole home is secured. When I go to Germany, when I go home, their area is secured. Well, you have to have a border. You have to have the rule of the law. If you don't, you're lawless, and you become you become to the crime and everything else, and we don't want that.
Sure.
Has nothing to do with the illegals or legals, or it has to do, we have a country and we must protect it.
Sure. We
So-
secure our homes.
That's right.
And I always go back, White House has a big fence around it, and you try to get in it. Try.
Isn't that the number one purpose of having a federal government, national security?
But I think we've got some people in the audience that have some questions, and I think let's talk to our producer. How are we doing on time? Thank you so much. Should we go ahead and take one?
Okay, if you like.
You want to take it on, or you want to ask the
okay.
gentleman that's standing over there that wants to ask a question?
Okay, well, someone's raising their hand. What is your
Oh,
question?
I wonder who it is. Yes. Will you introduce yourself, sir?
Sure. My name is John, and of course I am a concerned citizen. I actually work for Purple Cow Branding as well, doing business development. But my first question is for Dr. Tina Bennet Burton. Knowing that you're a doctor of chiropractic, have you given any members of Congress an adjustment?
That's a good joke. No.
That's a very
No
good
comment.
question.
Follow-up question. Seems like some policies need an adjustment too. Have you been consulted?
Perhaps.
That's very good.
Something happens when people get into office. They change, and maybe it's not them for whatever reason. They forget, and one of the things that is striking about city budgets is they continue to increase, and it's almost a foregone conclusion. Oh, budget increase 5%, 6%, 7%. Yet, when you talk to a citizen, they don't get more than a 3% raise. So, how do you prevent that type of increase from happening on a regular basis?
We go through the budget cycle every year. For Farmers Branch, we start in February with strategic planning. And it's really important to, I'm going to say it, go into the weeds. You have to go into the weeds. You have to understand where the fluff is and really strategically start cutting that, honestly. Inflation has happened. I don't care what anyone says. I feel it as a business owner. I feel it as just an individual. And that has happened in the city as well. And we've understood that. Last year we gave a decrease when I was on council, a tax decrease. This year they got it as well, another one. But we're going from a tax base or type of scenario to a fee for service. And I think people need to watch that and be very cognizant of what that's going to look like. So yes, there was a decrease this year in taxes, but there was a $5 fee put on the water bill for Camelot.
Mhm.
And at the end of the year, it ultimately came out to a wash. Next year, and as the years progress, and I voted on it, it's necessary. It's a $30 million post-closure for it. But because others didn't prepare for it, now we have to prepare for that. And so it's important that, every penny that we can cut that just didn't need to be spent shouldn't be spent. I'm going to use an example. With a group of mothers in Farmers Branch, they had cut Halloween in the park for the year. It was a weird little nuance on how it happened. And so we decided, okay, well, we're going to do this. So 72 hours later, after we had decided we were going to do this, the city came up with $60,000 for next year's Halloween in the park. We did it with businesses donating for less than $10,000.
Hmm.
And we now own all of the games and the bounce houses that we now get to float from elementary school to elementary school. So all of the Farmers Branch children get to use it and play with it on an ongoing basis. And so that's the importance. It's like, we see how much they spend, but they just need to be more efficient with it. They need to be more efficient with our tax dollar. They need to look at it as we would look at our household expenses. And do we want nice things? We want nice things. Everybody wants nice things. How are we going to save and get to that moment, but not overspend?
Seems like you believe that the free market can better meet the needs of the community.
Absolutely.
over the
Absolutely.
I love that question. That is
Mhm.
very important. Yes, the government has no business in our business, in our homes, or anywhere else. Yes, sir. I'll give you one more question.
One more question, thank you. And this might seem racist. I'm a white guy. You might have suspected that. But you assimilated to America at 17. You get America. And yet today it's almost like if we expect assimilation, somehow it's racist. Is American assimilation racist? And how do we encourage American assimilation? It seems like you did it very easily.
Well, the number one thing I tell people is that, they need to stop thinking like they're visitors here. If you live
Amen.
here, you're actually raising kids here. This is your country.
That's
This
right.
is your home. This is your number one home. Sure, you might have a motherland where you were actually born and immigrated from, but this is your home. You need to make sure that this place does well, not only for yourself, but for the next generation. Everything that we do now. I mean, we came here, my father came here so that he could provide for us and also for us, the next generation. Same thing for us. We're working hard, not for us, but not only for us, but also our children. And in order to do that, you have to make sure that you understand and be involved, do your civic duty. For 24 years, I try to get the mostly Korean Americans understand that it is your country and it is your vote. It matters. So go ahead and go out there and vote. They're slowly changing that. It is a long process because, mind you, first generation, they're really concentrating on just making the money so that they could actually provide. Because it's not easy coming to another country.
No.
And raising a family.
That's right. Because people, the immigrants, Korean Americans especially, when they were in Korea, they had degrees and they had money. But when they came to United States, they actually some of them actually were out in the flea market, Arlington Grand Prairie Trade Village with me out there too. Why? Because there's not a whole lot of option. But that again is they're trying to get into the American system and try to provide for the children, right? But they really have to change their mindset. This is their home. This is their country. And they really have to be involved and get actively involved and try to change. Politicians, they talked about when you're at a dining table, you're either on the menu or you're sitting there and picking the menu, right? And if you're not getting involved,
I like that.
if you're not getting involved, you'll always be on the menu. But you want to make sure that you're actually be in there. And in order to be the person picking out of the menu, you have to get engaged, assimilate, and care about this country. So that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was a very good question.
Yes.
Well, I love talking. This is my cup of tea. I love to get into this. This is what I love right here. Yes.
Well, House District 115 is very diverse,
It
and
is.
in comparison to other districts
is.
around it, and there's a large percentage of Asian community,
That's correct.
and not just Koreans, but there's Chinese, Indians. and various religions. So what do you think that is the number one issue that they care about when you speak to them?
Well, economy one is for sure. And, I keep telling everybody, no matter which country you're from, no matter which religion you have, if you look at the core value, we believe in God, that we are blessed, right? But
We're
also
very
we
blessed.
believe that marriage is also between man and woman. We also believe that there's two
Thank you.
There's two gender, male and female.
Thank
we
you.
want to protect our children as well. And we're all living for our children.
Yes.
And if we don't continue to, advocate for them, at some point, they might not be able to express themselves the way that they are, raised as well. So for me, everything starts at home. Everything starts at home. Whether it's building characteristic, whether, being able to be persistent
Yep.
and continue to work, the idea of working hard, caring about education, all those has to start at home. Because if it doesn't, no matter how great school district that you go to, the teachers can only do so much. So it has to start at home. You have to educate your kids. And I always tell my kids, don't do anything that you're not going to be doing in front of me outside when you're not in front of me. right?
Amen. Amen.
So, and I'm blessed that my kids, again, minimal headaches and heartaches. And my son, he's in England right now, and he's actually doing the things that we asked him to do, which is join church, Christian group. He's working hard and studying hard. And so I'm just blessed with that.
Well, John, having to take this back, I want to talk about it again, the economy and the inflation.
Mm-hmm.
I hope when you go to the office, to your office, both of you, understand that our country is right now in a very high inflation. Yesterday, I was just shocked. Our jobs. I don't know if you heard. It was terrible. It was a terrible day, and I'm a small businesswoman because I'm independent. So are you. So are you. When you start understanding that we cannot continue in this pace. We keep this up, we will not have a country left. When you're having to take money from coming to have coffee at Starbucks and going over to McDonald's, it's a big difference. And this is how I look at things. Either we're going to do Starbucks or we're going to do McDonald's coffee, because you have to cut somewhere. And the inflation is 9.10%. That is an absolute disgrace. And all these people that are elected right now, they better understand that we are going to be in the street if we don't take care of this.
That's right.
And I'm not sure where you're going to go on this, John, when you get there. What is your first thing you're going to do on this? Because this is something we really need to look at.
Well, this country is built on free market.
Yes.
And I was just talking to somebody that talked about, in California, you having minimum wage $20 an hour, right? And now they want to raise to 25. Well, the problem with that is small business owners. What are you going to do? That has to be made up somewhere. And now, if you think about even grocery store, you're talking about higher wages. Now they have automation system. Now you're actually cutting employee. You're losing jobs for that reason, because you're wanting higher wages, right? And it's really the business owner, small business owners, that are being hurt by that.
It's not sustainable.
It's not. It's not. And and another guy, one of my friends, he's in Colorado, and he talked about how even at Taco Bell, they're paying $20 an hour. How is that going to be made up?
And the tacos are sold for $1.50.
There you go.
So you look at $1.50 taco and you're getting $20. Where does this money come from? I also noticed a lot of chain stores are starting to close. Big Lots. Every one of Big Lots is shutting down. Macy's. I mean, you're starting to see these things. And a lot of people that, they do not understand what the value of economic development is. It's your money that you're going to go out there and put, but there's no, what happens to it?
Yes.
Where are we getting the money from?
Well, when the government raised minimum wage, and companies would just, go to automation with AI, with robots, and people are out of the job. So they don't understand there's unintended consequences of those policies that are unsustainable.
That's right.
Well, and the one of the biggest problems is we also have politicians. Once they get there, they forget that they're working for us, And what happens is they start going to the little coffees, and they're raising money for the next election instead of raising their eyebrows and their information for the client, for the people that elected them. And this is where we are going. And I want to tell you, I have to grant it to Governor Abbott. He's done a tremendous job on keeping our state where we are. Everybody wants to come to Texas.
That's right.
Okay, because we have an economic development. We are about freedom, and we are about business. And we need to keep that up. And I hope when you get there, both of you, that you remember who put you there. It was your voters, and that they have to be the number one.
Sure.
Yes. That's
Well,
right.
I mean, when I was on the city council, one of the things that I did was actually, if we have a construction, I know a lot of people, a lot of the residents, they said, they're being affected, but they're not being heard. So I actually, when there's a construction at a street, I actually went there, left my car, and asked them, give me a call if there's an issue. Some of them called me and talked about how they're not being notified. So I made sure that our staff is actually reaching out to make, having a discussion, having a meeting and all that. So one of the things I also did was, You know, a lot of times when you go to city website, it's so hard to find what's going on. So I asked them if you're going to do that, why not just go to put a QR code that will actually lead them to a site that will actually have all
Specific.
the information.
That,
So
Specific.
oh my gosh, thank you.
Amen.
That is a great idea. And I think that's something that you need to work with. Yeah, very much so.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I had a hard time finding the information online too. So I said, let's just go ahead and make it a link so that everybody could be able to just find it right there just with one click.
Will you be having, John, will you be having coffees with John Jung on Saturday mornings, or having a little hall meetings or things like this as you go along, so that
Sure.
you can start talking to the people and giving them notices and tell them what it's all about?
Oh yeah, like I was telling you, when I was on the city council of Coppell, my number one thing was every time we had a agenda or discussion, the first thing I asked is, did we get the residents' input? How did we reach them? In what method did we use? I always talk about that because it's really important. It's really not about me. It's about the residents, their issues
Exactly.
and concerns.
Exactly.
So that's what I want to hear. I want to make sure that their voices are heard. So we make sure, I mean, even our city manager, he understands that my number one priority is, do we get the citizens' input? So again, even if I do get elected down in Austin, I will be, one of the things I wanted to do was have a advisory group in different ethnic
Well, you can count on
communities.
us, right, Elena?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're
We'll be happy to
here.
advise you anything you want. We're very good advisors.
Yeah, I want to have that, but also with the young group, the young generations, because
Absolutely.
Good.
their input is important because they also want to see what we're going to do to make the future prepare for them as well.
You're right. But I do want you to remember the seniors,
Oh yes,
because the seniors right now, if I don't know if everybody's listening, because I'm on top of the law, the government, our government we have right now, they're going to start taxing the Medicare. Taxing the Medicare. We've already paid. And they're taxing the Medicare, and nobody talks about this. I'm asking the agents that are selling the Medicare, have you heard about this? Huh? No. Really? Oh, will it affect my commission?
just so you know, I'm proud to say that when I was on the city council, I was also a liaison for our senior community center.
Good.
And even though it was only required maybe quarterly, I went there every month to give them update as to what's going on and get the feedback.
Good.
And then if they had any question, I would take it back to council and address about the issues that they had as well.
These are important issues. You're going to be a state rep, which you represent. What area? Tell us your area.
Yeah, so it's actually Irving, which
Mhm.
is from 114 up, Las Colinas, Hackberry, and Valley Ranch. So Coppell, pretty much all of Coppell, Carrollton, most of Carrollton, part of Farmers Branch, and all of Addison, a little bit of Dallas, and just a little bit of Louisville as well. So 7 cities.
Wow, that's huge.
It's
And
kind
I
of an N shape.
Yeah, I love the fact that John has been a servant leader in the community, specifically in House District 115. It's very important to me and to a lot of us to see someone running for office who's been invested their time and their resources in the community, because the little that I know about your opponent, she doesn't live in the district.
Well, she actually got the house last year.
Oh, she got,
I-
okay,
I-
she
I
moved in.
learned, I
Okay,
learned.
so she's here. Okay, thank you for the correction.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you know the community, and that's why I like our local elected officials, because when you make a decision, you voted on something or against something, those are your neighbors.
Yes, they
And
are.
those are your fellow volunteers
Yeah.
and people that your kids went to go to school
Sure.
with, and their parents and families. And they come up to you when you're shopping out
Sure.
and about, when you're in a restaurant. It's like, hey, John, well,
Sure.
what about that vote? And being accessible, I think, is very key as a local elected officials. And I know that not everybody is like that, but it sounds like you too are.
No, for sure. We just, as you know, many schools are facing lower enrollment, and that's one of the issue. And I told them, I said, look, I'll support the tax increase for school. I'll still be paying taxes because I live in the district. I'll support that. But I also said that just like city council members, we have to be mindful of being fiscally responsible. School also needs to do that. Now, obviously, when I said that, some people didn't like the answer, but
Of course.
but it's true though. If you think about that, we knew for city of Coppell, we knew that we might be losing $20 million a year because of sales tax collection from origination to destination. In other words, even though we have built infrastructure, road and all that for Amazon to come in, so we were going to get a little bit of, we gave tax incentive. We were going to get a little bit of piece of the tax. Now the comptroller and some of the legislatures, they want to change to destination. In other words, whoever orders somewhere else, they're going to get a little bit of tax. Well, there's two problems with that. Number one, we had origination tax collection for over 40 plus years, and you had all the cities built their city
That's right.
based on
Based on
that.
that.
That's number one. Number two is this: you think that you're not helping the developing cities by changing that, because why would they have incentive to bring in and compete for internet businesses? They wouldn't.
Right.
They're not going to get tax base, right? So it makes no sense for developing city to be enticed by with this destination collection. So and something like that, I think some of the legislators that are down there, they don't understand the city problem, and that's the reason why it's happening.
Well, John, I'm going to say that you're going to have to come back after you get elected, because this is going to be a very important, and that goes for you too, because we're coming down to our closing of, we only have like 4 minutes left here. So we're going to take this little time for each of you to tell us what you're going to do. How can people get hold of you, and give us a little closing statement. How about you, John? Start with you.
Sure. I tell everybody that I have many shortcomings. I'm not perfect, but at the same time, I know that the day that if I don't care about the community, if I'm not out there listening to the community, their issues and concern, mind you, again, I'm not going to be able to change everything. If I'm not doing that, then I no longer belong in the office. That's my honest feeling, because I feel like I'm a servant and I'm just trying to make a difference. But my mentality, when I started serving as a volunteer, it was the same mentality. When I got on the city council, it was same mentality. When I stepped down, I still had the same mentality. I'm same John. I'm running for the state. I'm still same John. If I do get elected and represent the community, I hope that I'm the same John that I've always been. I tell you, my wife will be the first person to tell me if I'm different. And yes, and I have to listen to everything that she says, but she will be the first person to tell me. And if that's the case, then I know that it's time to step away.
Could you give us your website? How can anybody get hold of you? And
so it is John is JOHNJUN for Texas.com. And my email, again, johnjohn4texas@gmail.com. My phone number's out there, on the website too. And actually, everybody, I give my personal phone numbers to everyone, because I just had the open dialogue with everybody that was on, as a city council and just as a general person.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so now we're going to talk to Dr. Tina Bennet and tell us about. She's going to have to straighten my back up. So give us a little bit of
She's
how
giving
you
free
adjustment. That's right. We got a free one. Okay. So tell us a little bit what close us out and tell the people that they're going to vote for you. If you have not voted, you need to go vote. November 5th is election day. So tell us a little bit of what you expect, what you want to do, and what you expect from also you have to expect something from the voters. I think candidates need to, it's not all about the voter. The voter needs to,
they need to communicate.
They need to communicate.
They need to communicate.
So that's important.
They need to tell us what their needs and desires are, honestly. And we need to have that dialogue to see if it's even possible. I mean, sometimes we can come to the table together and compromise and make it happen. And other times it's just not possible. And we need to understand that. But economic development is huge. We are location in Farmers Branch. And to continue to grow. Like 10 years ago, we were at 80% of our taxes came from corporate. This year, at the end of budget season, it was 73%.
Wow.
And so we are going the wrong direction. We need to turn that around. And that's what's going to save the individual taxpayers, is the corporate taxpayers coming in. So economic development is huge. We have plenty of location for that on the east and west side. Even at the Four Corners, we could accommodate that. The Four Corners is Valley View and Josie Lane, for those that don't know. And so, but she's right. You guys, the residents have to come to us. I feel like I'm pretty good about reaching out to my people and asking. And I've been really good. Even some of the people sitting in the audience do not live in District 3 or District 2. And I've always been very responsive to them. My email address is tina@tinabennettburton.com. And the webpage is TinaBennettBurton.com. That's TinaBennettBurton.com. And again, I've always been really responsive. Even now, not being in office, when residents ask me, I tell them. If
Thank
I
you.
don't know the answer, I find the answer, but I watch all of the board meetings and listen to all the board meetings. I go to the council meetings. If I'm not there in person, I'm watching it live online. I stay very engaged, even currently with our current council, because I want to know. And the other residents should want to know as well.
Go team.
Go,
All
Tina.
right.
That's right. So you will be at the polls on the 5th.
I will be at the polls on the 5th, meeting anyone who wants to come out and meet me.
And John, you'll be there also?
Of course.
Yes.
I'll
Well,
be there.
Thank you so very much. I want to thank very much both of you for taking the time to come on Saturday morning to sit here with us. I know that you've been very busy, and I appreciate that. Elena and I we love the part of the politics because we like to be involved, but not only that, but we participate also. So this is kind of like our cup of tea.
Yes,
So we love
yes.
it.
Tuesday's the day, right?
Tuesday's the day.
7 to 7.
And I love my
election.
country.
Yes.
And I love Israel. And I think that this is one of the most critical, if I ever in my life, this is one of the most critical days of election on the 5th. We must win.
Yes.
Because if we don't, I don't foresee America to move forward the way my parents wanted it to be.
Mhm.
And people understand that, please understand. Because one day, October 7th in Israel happened. It will happen here.
Yes.
It will happen here. It already happened 9/11, but the next time will be a lot bigger. So thank you for taking your time to run. And most of all, follow us on alexandraandfriends.com. We also have Alexandra and Friends YouTube, and we have our Facebook, Alexandra and Friends. I'm going to close us with the evening. I'm going to have Elena close us out with a prayer.
Yes.
And thank you again for being here at the Purple Cow Branding Studio and Meeting
Thank you for
Place.
having us.
And
Yeah,
I want to thank Rob Bliss for giving us the opportunity to
Rob.
sponsor our
Yes,
show.
our sponsor. All right, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessing and the gift of freedom and democracy in our nation. Your word says that blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. We declare today that you are God. You are the sovereign King over our nation. We thank you for the mercy and grace over us. We pray blessings and protection over our children. It's really about what John was talking about. It's all about our families. And so we just ask you to guard over our election day, Tuesday, November 5th, and that righteousness and justice will reign. And the results belong to you no matter what. And you still king, you still sovereign. And we just bless every person that's listening and watching on our program, Lord, that you would be with them, that everyone would have a safe and wonderful weekend. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And everybody have a very happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And we'll see you after Thanksgiving.
Already.
I know.
Gosh.
In a few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Ready? Okay.
You're okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
We were live. We need to just close this
How
out.
it goes. But
It was,
Yeah.
this is